Hi everyone, and welcome to Drinking with Dana. This is going to be our post-Thanksgiving show, so just because it's not quite December yet, and it's after Thanksgiving, so that's kind of going to be the theme of the show. But there might be a little switch up in here, just because, well, it's snowing really hard outside, and that made me rethink one of the drink choices. But before I get into that, this is on our new tablet. So I think I mentioned in the last episode that my old tablet died, and that's why I had to do that episode from my office. It arrived right before that episode. Well, I think I've got it all set up, so please let me know how I'm looking, how I'm sounding in terms of the audio and video quality, and not any critiques. I'm fragile. Winter Vespers is here. Hello, thank you. Ember Leo, good to see you. Glad to see you both out there. Right. Well, if everything's looking and sounding okay, then I'm going to make us a drink, and then we can discuss what's going to go on after that. Now, the first drink I'm going to start with tonight is called a Suffering Bastard. Now, there are actually two drinks that have that name. One of which is a tropical drink, what they call a tiki drink, but I have issues with that terminology. I've discussed them before. The one we're going to be making is the 1942 version of the Suffering Bastard, and it has kind of an incredible history. I'm getting the history of this mostly from Beach Bum Berry's Potions of the Caribbean, which is an excellent book. Jeff Berry knows what he's talking about in terms of cocktail history. So basically, this drink was created in Egypt at the Shepherd's Hotel by Jim Scalliam, and I'm sorry to mispronounce his name because he's a hero, and you'll find out why in a minute. There are other versions of it that are the Dying Bastard and the Dead Bastard versions. It's occasionally called the Suffering Bar Steward for people who don't like the word bastard. But this version, by the way, the other version is basically a Mai Tai with an extra shot of rum and a piece of cucumber stuck in it. That is all it is. I actually have, sorry to deviate here, but this, if you've ever heard of a Suffering Bastard, that version of it, this is the mug it's served in. This is a Suffering Bastard mug, but we are not using that because this is not that version. So anyway, it was created at the Shepherd's Hotel in Egypt in 1940, and nominally it's a hangover cure, which is why I figured we could use it after Thanksgiving. A little something to lighten things up. And it's a fairly light drink. It's definitely in the hair of the dog that bit you mode of hangover cures. And how it was developed was the Allied commanders who were in Egypt living at the Shepherd's Hotel. Basically, the supply lines of good liquor got cut off by Rommel and the Nazis, and so they only had what they could scavenge, and it was not very good quality. So all the Allied commanders were complaining of hangovers all the time. And our bartender Joe decided to whip up a cure of his own to help them out. Now, and I'm actually going to read this straight from the book because this bit is very good. So, by October 1942, the 11th Hussars had been folded into the English into the 8th Army, commanded by another Shepherd's resident, Lieutenant General Bernard Montgomery, who was throwing everything he had into stopping the relentless advance of Field Marshal Erwin Rommel's Panzer Army at El Amin, a scant 150 miles from Shepherd's. At the height of the battle, the front desk received a cable. Please reserve rooms at Shepherd's Hotel tomorrow night and a table on the terrace. It was signed Rommel. Now, no one was sure if it was a hoax, but another message from El Amin was genuine, an urgent request from the 11th Hussars, who'd been unexpectedly mobilized after a long night at the Long Bar for 4 gallons of Joe Scalliam's hangover cure. Joe filled every thermos flask he could find and then sent them by taxi to the front line. Although military historians have so far declined to gauge Joe's effect on the Battle of El Alamein, Montgomery's desert rats eventually won the day. And it goes on to basically say what I said earlier, that if it did help, it was Rommel's own fault for cutting off the good booze. So, now this drink is essentially what's called a buck. This is a gin and brandy buck. A buck is a cocktail made with ginger ale or ginger beer, citrus, and a base liquor. And you'll see, actually, I did not put up my thing there. All right, you'll see on the recipe there that it calls for Rose's lime cordial. Now, normally, you really don't want to use that in the place of lime juice. You always want to use fresh lime juice. Rose's lime cordial is sweetened and preserved lime juice. Now, back when this was invented, it was an entirely different thing. The modern version is kind of the same. It's close enough to work, and it's actually kind of required for this drink because of the way it's sweetened and its general taste. But yeah, you won't see many recipes that actually specifically call for that, and if they do, you do need to use it. Now, I did forget to get out the ginger beer before we started, so let me grab that. So, we've got the history out of the way. Let's start making the drink. So we're going to start with a 1/2 ounce of Rose's lime cordial, and everything's going to go into our shaker here, except for the ginger beer. That one, that's why that one's out of order at the bottom there. For those who are new to the show, I always try and do things in order from least expensive to most expensive. So that way if you mess up, you're not out a lot of money. Apparently this is a bartender's trick, although from some bartenders I've heard they don't actually use that, but you should, it's recommended. Alright, so 1 ounce of gin. I am using the Ryan Reynolds gin. Although I think he sold the company, I'm going to keep calling it that. And here we go. So, 1/2 ounce of Rose's lime, ounce of gin. Oop. And that was the front doorbell ringing twice. I believe that was some sort of delivery.
I'm on it.
And Lori is getting that for me, because she is a kind, caring, and wonderful wife. Most of the time, she says. Alright, now adding 1 ounce of brandy. And I'm just using E&J VSOP, the Grand Blue. It's not terribly expensive. It's what I use when making a blackberry liqueur. I rather like making. But it's good solid stuff. Not terribly expensive. Good for cocktails. And then we're going to add 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. I don't think anything actually came out that time. There we go. 1 and 2. All right. And now we shake this with some ice. Let me grab that here. All right, and you can really smell those bitters already. Give it a good shake. And then I'm going to fill, while I'm shaking, I'm going to fill this glass with a little more cubed ice. That's pretty good. Certainly all mixed. We're just going to stream that in here. Now, really what I've given in the recipe here 4 ounces of ginger beer because that's the recipe I got. And I'm probably going to do it that way. I'm actually going to measure it out because we're doing this for science. Really, what you probably want to do is just top up the glass. And, but I've got a big measuring cup here. Because by pouring the ginger beer into a measuring cup and then pouring it into the glass, I'm going to lose a little bit of the carbonation, which is fine. But like I say, just top up your glass. Alright, that's about 4 ounces there. And pour that in. I'm just using Trader Joe's ginger beer here. There are other good ones out there. I think they recommended, one place I saw recommended Brundaberg, and there was another one, Reed's Extra Ginger. And I really should stir this up a little bit, and again, we're going to lose a little bit more carbonation, but it'll still be fine. So, but we want it mixed in well together. So, just kind of stirring it a little bit, and don't want it to be too vigorous. So, cheers! Now, I'm not going to lie, the overwhelming flavor here is the ginger beer. If anything, it actually tastes like the ginger beer is weaker than normal. You don't get a lot of alcohol flavors. The flavors of the bitters do come through, and so you do get that. Let's see, Ember Leo says nom, so good. Yes, it is very nom. It is a, if you used a more powerful ginger beer, you'd get even more ginger, and that might actually taste even better, because let's say this kind of tastes like a watered down ginger beer right now. You don't get a lot of subtle flavors from anything. It's all covered up. You maybe get a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of lime flavor from the roses, but even that you don't get very much of. Maybe if you used very bad gin or very bad brandy, you might notice off flavors, but in general, you don't have to waste the extra good stuff on this one, because you're not going to pick up on all the good flavors. It is lovely, though. It is a nice drink. It is light, refreshing. I can see how they, especially in the middle of the Middle East, fighting Nazis, this would be a lovely pick-me-up. Especially since back then, roses did very much have, lime juice in it. I'm not sure how much lime juice it actually has today. I'm sure they say there is some. Yeah. Now, okay, lime juice is the third ingredient after water and high fructose corn syrup. But back then, like I say, they used a different process, had a lot more lime juice in it, very good to keep your troops from getting scurvy and all of that. I'm realizing now what Ember's saying, which is that I left emote only chat on. Oh no. There, okay, people should be able to do something other than... sorry about that. It's been a while. And it's a new machine and all that. I'm a little bit thrown off. Alright. Repentant Imp says, chatter time. Azure Dragon says, hi Dana, and hello Azure Dragon, good to see you there. Ogre Marco, also there. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm glad you all could make it. I was so fixated on people killing Nazis and that kind of thing that, Emberleo was through the medium of emotes apparently saying, Reed's Extra Ginger is good stuff. I have had it before. I think just to drink on its own, it's a little too gingery for me personally, but in cocktails, especially like this, it would definitely stand out even more, have more of that ginger bite. Like I say, this does tend to taste a little bit watered down because all of the notes from all of these things are sort of supporting notes, except for maybe the Angostura. And you could actually add a little more Angostura, and it would even stand out a little bit more, add a little more complexity to it. Um, but yes, definitely a lot of good ginger beers out there. Like I say, I got this at Trader Joe's and really liked it, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to try this originally, is because I was like, well, I got a couple bottles of ginger beer left over. What uses that? And this is a good one. Oh yeah, and Ember Leo says she started drinking the Reed's Extra Ginger as a teen, and so she's used to it. Um, Bundaberg also good. So and Ogre Marks also notes that agrees that Bundaberg is good, but also notes Cock and Bull, which I do usually get actually. I just got this because I was at Trader Joe's and they had it. Cock and Bull I like because they actually have a diet ginger beer that does not taste too diet. There's enough ginger and other things in there, and as you might note, I can stand to lose a little weight, so I try to sub in as many diet things as possible when it doesn't affect the flavor. And actually, there are more. Oh, just a second. There's a good discussion of various ginger beers here, and can I scroll? There we go. Okay. Repentant Imp says, I'm not a fan of heavy gingers, but I do love making a mocktail dark and stormy that includes Bundaberg ginger ale, well, I think it's Bundaberg ginger beer, but and I personally perceive the diet version as having more bite. Azure Dragon says, I find Reed too bitey. I tend to agree. And if you do like the bite, try mixing Reed's Extra with Goldschlager for a very bitey thing that has no chili to it. So that sounds interesting. I may have to give that a try. Yeah, if you have any ideas for things you want me to try on the show, Lori, my wife, earlier tonight was suggesting that we do a whole show of basically Dana tries. We were thinking canned cocktails or that kind of thing, but I can also just make sight unseen drink recipes that you recommend within reason. I'm not going to do the how to drink thing of doing stunt drinks and that kind of thing, but anything that sounds good, like the ginger beer and Goldschlager sounds great. So send me if you know how to send me recipes, either send me a whisper through Twitch or on YouTube, leave a comment with your suggestions. If you know me on Discord or anywhere else, send me a message and give me your suggestions. I'd love to hear them. Okay. Speaking of diet stuff, a fun drink to have is diet. Was it? We use diet caffeine-free Coke, so we can have Cokes into the evening, and the diet because again. So diet caffeine-free Coke, a little bit of Torani sugar-free vanilla syrup, and some white rum. Actually, any rum, really. White or gold rum. And what that does is the vanilla covers up the flavor of the rum. The Coke covers up the flavor of the diet in both the vanilla and itself. And you end up just having a diet vanilla Coke. And it's got alcohol in it. And if you're not a big fan of alcohol flavors, that's a good one for you. Well, not a fan of alcohol flavors and are dieting. So, all right. So before I get on to the food course, I wanted to mention, let's see. Sorry, Ember Leo again says, the ginger cinnamon gold flake is my standard fancy offering to, and I apologize to both Ember and the person being referenced, Gulveg. the Norse goddess, Gulfbag. Is that? Yep. Gulfbag is a Norse goddess. Every day's a school day. So, well, cheers to her. All right. Sorry, it's hard for the chat is a little small. I've got my glasses on, so I have problems reading as well. Oh, Gulvag. Okay, Gulvag. Oh yeah, and Ogre Marco points out dieting or diabetic. If you're diabetic, diet sodas are a good way. Well, I guess are a good way to avoid some problems with your sugar levels. So yeah, never look down on diet or sugar-free sodas. They can be a lifesaver for a lot of people. All right, so as I mentioned before, I'm thinking about swapping out the last drink today, and I need folks here to vote on it. Because I promised in the ad that we were going to do a Cosmopolitan tonight. Largely because it's got cranberry juice in it, and cranberry is kind of Thanksgiving themed, and it's a girly drink that I really feel like I should cover at some point. But it's also been snowing outside a lot, and there's another drink that, see, when I was a kid, and it would snow, and it snows here in Seattle about once, maybe twice a year, if that. Sometimes we have years where we don't get any snow. And when I was a kid and it snowed, my whole family would gather at the back door or back windows and just stand and watch the snowfall. And my folks would have little glasses of liqueur or sometimes a cocktail or something. And as we got older, they'd let us have a sneaky sip of that. Or when we got into our teen years, if we ever did that, we'd get a little cocktail of our own or a little glass of our own. And so whenever it snows, I just want to stand at the back door and have something. Now, doing just a liqueur, a little glass of liqueur, that's not, I mean, you can do that yourself. But there was a cocktail that was one of my mom's favorites, and it is likewise just as girly. It is called a Pink Squirrel, and is a delightful little drink. And so if I get everyone's permission, we will switch from doing the Cosmo. I'll do that another time, and we'll do the Pink Squirrel instead. All right, so let's see what people are saying. Emberleo says, my sister loves Cosmos. Don't know if that's a vote or not. Winter Vesper says, oh my god, I absolutely adore the name Pink Squirrel. As do I. I love that one. It's the cocktail itself is kind of a relative of the grasshopper. Azure Dragon says Pink Squirrel with an exclamation mark, so that's 2 there. And Everleo says Pink Squirrel sounds interesting, whereas I already know about Cosmos. Ogre says I gotta know what a pink squirrel is. Okay, it sounds like we're gonna switch to the Pink Squirrel. So I'm sorry for anyone out there who tuned in, absolutely dying to know about Cosmos. I will get to them eventually. But in the meantime, we now do the second part, which is the food. And let me clean up a little bit here. So let me switch over to the food thing. And we are doing garlic cheese bread. And yes, everyone knows how to make garlic cheese bread. Everyone makes garlic cheese bread their own way. I'm going to show you how I make it, just because, let's be honest, after Thanksgiving, you don't want to cook anymore. And making garlic cheese bread does not count as cooking. It's throwing together, you might have some leftover baguette from appetizers or what have you. It's basically getting rid of leftovers, or, you know, it's comfort food and it fills you up, and it's, I don't know. To me, it doesn't count as cooking. It's just getting something really tasty. So, let me make sure you can see all this on the camera. All right, now I did buy the baguette today, so it is not the stale baguette that I'm using up like it normally is, just because that's how things are today. All right, so First thing we're gonna do, take our baguette, and you want to cut it in, figure out how much you want. Now, Lori's watching, my wife's watching out there, and we'll probably say she wants the whole thing cut into chunks. But Azure Dragon, or see, wait, Azure Dragon says, "I make bread pudding with the leftover baguettes." You are a better woman than I. I do not have that kind of energy for cooking. Actually, we have a rule that the weekend from after the night of Thanksgiving through the weekend, I don't cook. We have leftovers or we order out, but I get a weekend to recover. Same thing for after Christmas. Ogre Marco says, garlic cheese bread isn't cooking, it's self-care. And truer words have never been spoken. Alright, so I'm just going to cut this roughly the width of the pan, maybe a little bit less. Now, stand it up on its end. You can either cut this into thirds or into halves. If your bread is really stale, cut it into thirds because then you'll get at least one nice soft piece, but also you won't have to chew through all that stale bread to get to the good toppings. Since this is fresh, I'm just going to cut it in half. Also, that's how Lori likes it better anyway. So, and actually I'll make another 2 slices. And I'll save this last little bit for sandwich or something tomorrow. Put that over there. All right. Now. All right. So, got our bread, cut into slices, put this back, and first thing you want to do, slather it with butter. Now, I was clever and actually remembered to take the butter out of the fridge so it's nice and softened. If yours isn't, just cut pats off enough to cover the whole thing, stick it under the broiler for about 30 seconds, just until it begins to start melting, so it's nice and soft, and then spread it all over everything. You want to get fairly good coverage on this because that's going to allow better heat transfer between the oven and the bread, but also it adds salt, which improves the flavor. Also keeps everything nice and stuck to the bread, so you don't just get a mouthful of cheese topping and it comes right off the bread. All right, and let's see. And Azure Dragon, on my comment about the her bread pudding, definitely it is more work for sure. Yes, I agree. Although I'll have to get your recipe off of you because I know Lori is a big bread pudding fan, and I've never made it. So because I don't know, I'm cruel that way. She doesn't like creme brulee, and I've actually made that a couple of times, but I don't bother because I don't want to eat an entire batch of creme brulee by myself because I would. All right, so just going through, and again, this is one of those recipes where I don't have numbers written down or measurements or anything. You use as much bread as you want, use as much butter as you want. Just, you can substitute things in and out of this. Like I say, everyone does things slightly differently. This is how I do it. And it is a delight. Actually, I have my pages of notes here. I haven't even bothered to switch to the garlic cheese bread because it's just literally what you're seeing on your screen. I have no notes for it. It is garlic cheese bread. You know it. You love it. And I've made this so many times that I can, there are some recipes you don't need recipes for. And it's not like, there is a recipe. So, anyway, I think the only important thing on there is I'm supposed to check my voice to get it back in the right range. All right. So, everything's been buttered. So, just one.
In chat about what a pink squirrel is.
Yes, I'm going to get to that when I get to the next drink.
Okay, no problem.
So,
Sorry.
that's all right. Yes. Repentant says drool creme brulee. Yes. Yeah, creme brulee is very good stuff. I love it. I even have the torch for it and everything. But like I say, she doesn't, not that crazy about it, so I just don't make it. I do order it every time I can when I go out, just because. All right, so this is just garlic powder. You can use fresh garlic if you want. It tends to be a little, I don't want to say too garlicky. I've just had problems with eating too much raw garlic in the past. I mean, it cooks a little bit when in here, but it's still pretty raw. I like using garlic powder. It's just easier. I'm just about out, but I should have enough for this whole batch. And I'm just going to sprinkle it over the top. And if I could show you on camera, I would show you how much there is here. Unfortunately, I don't think it would show up against the butter because it would be basically yellow on yellow. I'm just trying to get the last little bits out of here. I did remember finally to add it to the shopping list, but I did that after I got back from the store, and as previously mentioned, there's a snowstorm. All right. Now what I'm adding is some dried basil, because I have it and I like it, and it's really good on this. This is stuff that I dried out of our garden, and all I'm going to do is take the leaves and kind of crumble them up and sprinkle the crushed bits of basil over the top. I like a lot of basil on mine. You can use other herbs if they make you happy. I think basil goes really well. It's a traditional Italian herb. So, let's see. Oh, Ember, you're heading out. Glad you could make it. Take care. And thank you for the insight to the and pronunciation guide. All right. So, while I'm doing this, what is everyone else drinking out there? Am I drinking alone, or people poured themselves at least something? I mean, I've got, technically the wife and the cats are here, so I'm not drinking alone, but, and I've got all of you here too. But I would love to hear if anyone else has poured themselves something, or if you're following along at home, playing the home game as it were. All right. Let's see. No. All right, one more. I'll call that good for the basil. All right, so here we go. Here's our not quite cheese bread yet because it doesn't have any cheese on it, but that's what it looks like so far. Ogre is says a diet Dr. Pepper. Nothing exciting. That's fine by me as long as you're enjoying yourself. However, I'm going to enjoy that. Yeah, no, alcohol is an interesting thing in that there's a lot of societal expectations around it. You know, if other people are drinking, well, you have to be drinking too. No, you don't. Never let people pressure you into drinking when you don't want to drink, or, you know, not drinking. Well, all right. That's the inverse isn't necessarily true. Sometimes you don't want to drink for very good reasons. And but anyway, no, never be worried about having a soda, not least because, you know what, everyone loves a designated driver. All right, so what I'm doing is just grating some Parmesan cheese. I've got my little hand grater here and a block of Parmesan. This is where I give my usual spring for the good Parmesan speech, because spring for the good Parmesan. If you can, I'll afford it. I know not everyone can. You know, do what you have to do to keep body and soul together. But this is one place where spending a little bit of extra money is worth it. You can taste the difference. You know, avoid the stuff in the green can again if you can afford to at all. All right, so let's see how much. I just made a mound of Parmesan. I'm gonna pick it up, sprinkle it over the top. There we go. And I'll probably grate some more too, because we like a lot of cheese on ours. I got this at Whole Foods because they have good Parmesan. I don't have the label on there anymore to say what specific kind it is. It's the Parmesan that they have with the big wheels that's sitting out in the middle of the store. It's good stuff. Again, not cheap because it's whole paycheck, but all right. Again, well, none of these places are sponsors, but could be if they wanted to. So I'm going to just sprinkle on this last little bit. Try and get everything even, well covered. Actually did get just about the right amount. And I don't know if you noticed earlier, I did put some aluminum foil on the cookie sheet just so that way when I'm done, pull this off, toss away the foil, everything's already clean. All right, let's see. Retinib, are you using shaved or grated Parmesan? I'm using grated Parmesan. It melts better and it takes a little bit longer and it's a little more arm strength to grate it, especially as you get close to the rind. But it's, like I say, I think it works better here. You could use shaved. With the basil, if you want to use fresh basil, you can absolutely do that. Just chop it thin. I tried to experiment over the summer where I just used whole leaves of basil on there, and that did, you took one bite and you couldn't really bite through the basil. It just pulled the whole section of cheese and all that off. So just, chiffonade it or, cut it into small pieces and sprinkle it over. And then, yes, grated Parmesan. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to stick this in the oven under the broiler. And here, let me move. I cleverly did not adjust the track. You want this as close to the burners as you can, the very top rack. And in for about 3 minutes from a cold oven. By the way, I have not preheated the oven at all. And now everyone's tastes are going to change on this. Everyone's ovens are different too. I like mine just golden around the edges. Lori likes hers a little bit less done. You might like yours a little more done. So just put it in. If you put it in a cold oven, it'll take 3.5 minutes, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Also depending on how dried, how stale your bread is or how fresh it is. This might take 4 minutes. Just keep an eye on it and it'll be fine. I've set a timer because I actually remembered to set a timer this time. And then we'll see in just a minute. Now in the meantime, while it's cooking, it's just about time for me to clean up here, or at least move things off camera so you can't actually see them. One of my mom's greatest pieces of advice is that you only have to clean what they can see. Okay. How's everyone else doing? How was everyone's, for those who celebrated it, Thanksgiving or other family or friend gatherings? Um, I think, Ogre, if I saw something, you had a Friendsgiving that looked like it was going to be a lot of fun. Uh, I'm pretty sure that went well because I know you're an amazing cook. Um, let's see. Azure Dragon says, "Great, I didn't cook." That is the way to do it if you can. Which, by the way, for all of those out there, if you have a homemaker or a housewife or someone in your life who did all the cooking over Thanksgiving, give them a hug, say thank you. It is a lot of work, and it basically one of the things you find out when you become a housewife is family gatherings aren't fun, relaxing family gatherings anymore. They're your job. So, hmm. Ah, Lori says, pour them a drink. So, yes, do that. Anyway, so the bread's still going. This is still going. I should probably get things set up for what's next. Let me put the foil away here too. Ogre says that it was awesome, lots of great stuff, and not just him cooking. That's great. I'm guessing Lucas chipped in as well. Well, and probably a bunch of others too. Ooh, that's 3 minutes there. Let me take a look here. And I'm gonna leave that in there for about as long as it takes me to take another drink, because it's just starting to get golden around the edges. Ogre says, I did a biggish chicken and a top roast, not as many leftovers. Great, yeah, no, we did a big turkey and there were some leftovers, but in my opinion, not enough. I do actually like a few leftovers at the end of Thanksgiving. All right, that's just about perfect as far as I'm concerned. Let me grab a trivet here, and I will hold that up to the camera here. If I can do that without it tilting. So you see, just getting a little bit golden around the edges. That maybe a little bit more than Lori would like, but it's exactly how I like it. All the cheese is melted, and it's going to be delicious. And so I am going to take a piece of this and have it and let you know how it is, and then I will put it off camera so that Lori can have some, because she doesn't like to be on camera. She's shy. So it's hot. I should probably have let it cool for a little bit before biting in, but it's as Ogre said, it's self-care. It's cheese and it's bread and it's carbs and fat and salt, and you taste the garlic and you taste the basil and you taste all the goodness. You really taste the Parmesan. I could probably put even more on there, and it would taste even stronger. But it's really good stuff. So that's how I make garlic cheese bread. And I am now going to, well, I'm going to leave that piece there. And then I'm going to put the rest of it over on the table. I'll be back in just a moment. Yeah, let me get you a plate. Here, a second. Get to see behind the scenes there. Here you go.
Okay.
All right, so let me finish this up. I just realized I didn't put this up to the camera so you could actually see it. It's pale yellow, has bubbles. It kind of just looks like ginger ale. Yeah, take two. So, take two for now. I'll have the.
Okay.
So I've got one here. Sorry, negotiating over how many slices of garlic bread we each get.
Yay.
As is traditional in any marriage. Let's see. Uh, Winter Vespers says that looks scrumptious. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Uh, let's see. Lori said I also like it that way, so I will eat it. Yes, she. This is the compromise between how we each like it, and it's a little bit more on my side, but it's also good. I try and take the more done ones. And Repentant says, Gak, I have a fresh sourdough and everything else for garlic cheese bread right now, except we have no butter. Oh no! Yes, you can use Azure Dragon suggested olive oil. You can use that. I would add a pinch more salt. But yeah, just get a brush and brush on some olive oil, and that should do it. Um, all right, so Pink Squirrel. Ooh. All right, I'll address that a bit. It is really a refreshing drink, I have to say. They knew what they were talking about back in the 1940s. Punching Nazis and drinking good drinks. All right, so the Pink Squirrel, and let me get the stuff out for it here, is a very simple drink. It is 3 ingredients, one of which you're not going to have. And I apologize for that. There's nothing I can do. This one is, it's just how it is. It's a good drink, but uses one thing. It's a little weird. It's the only thing I've ever used this for. So, let me give you the history first. Not my personal history with it, but the actual history of the drink. So, the Pink Squirrel was invented in the 1940s. Oh wait, switch the recipe. There we go. Was invented in the 1940s at Bryant's Cocktail Lounge in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's a close relative of the grasshopper and the brandy Alexander. There's not really a name for those drinks. Some people call them ice cream drinks or adult milkshakes, because that's kind of what they are. But they're all 3 are basically the same thing with one ingredient swapped out between them. So in this case, it is creme de cacao, heavy cream, and then 1/3 things. In this case, it's creme de noyer, and I'm pronouncing that wrong. Noyo? Noyo? Yeah, I don't know. I've always called it creme de noyer, which is pronounced wrong, but no one knows what it is. So, and it is a sort of almond flavored, mostly almond flavored liqueur. Traditionally, it is made from apricot and cherry pits with bitter almonds and botanicals. And the red color comes from something called cochineal, which is a type of insect that's used for dyes. This is not made that way, I presume. This is the Bowls version of it, and they do not say what it is, but it's very amaretto. And yeah, no, they do not reveal their recipe. There is a brand of liqueurs called Tempus Fugit Spirits, sorry, and they make things the old-fashioned way, including with the insect parts and everything. Let's see. So this is but like I say, this is the modern take on it. For a long time, this was creme de noyer was almost impossible to find. You had to really search for it. I got lucky and found a bottle. This is literally the only drink that I know of that uses it. I'm sure there are others out there. I may even look for some, but for right now, this is it. And I have a very limited space for liquor storage. You can't see it, but our house is very small. Ogre would like me to spell Noyaux, Noyaux. Anyway, I have a very small space for liquor storage on our house, and I think it's worth having a bottle of this on hand just for this one drink. But then again, I have a personal connection to it. Right. So, It's a shake and drink, so we get our shaker. Everything's equal parts. So just from the size of what my glass is, I'm gonna do 1.5 ounces of each of these. So starting with 1.5 ounces of cream, and this is, I don't know where Kroger's gets their heavy cream, but it is heavy cream. Like, it is, yeah, it is very heavy cream. Like, if you breathe on it wrong, you will get whipped cream out of this. So, normally I would just be pouring this in to, because it's the cheapest thing, so I'm doing that first. But also, it is so thick, it is just clinging to the insides of this. The other two liqueurs will help wash out the rest of the cream. So Ogre says, according to Mickey, it's pronounced Noyo. Okay, creme de Noyo. That makes sense. I think I did figure it out at one point, but I've gotten so used to calling it creme de Noyer that I just will probably continue to do that. Winter Vesper says, just the cream looks so yummy, and it really does. And I'm drinking this, so I'm just gonna use my pinky to scrape some of that out because it is so thick. Of course, now I have to wash my hands because it is so thick and full of fat. But yeah, no, I don't know where Kroger started getting this heavy cream from. They claim it's from around here somewhere. If so, they found the good stuff. All right, so 1.5 ounces of this now. Sorry, my voice has been all over the place today. It keeps dropping for some reason. I'm trying to get it back into range. I think I was so busy over the holidays that I just like, all right, voice is low priority right now. And so I kind of got out of the habit of using it. And so you'll have to forgive me as I get back into the habit. All right. Oh, Lydia says, hi, Dana, and hello, Lydia. Good to see you. I'm glad you could make it. We're making a Pink Squirrel. You will love this drink. So, we've got 1.5 ounces of cream in there, 1.5 ounces of creme de Noyo, and now 1.5 ounces of creme de cacao. You want to use white creme de cacao because of the color scheme. There are two kinds of creme de cacao usually, white and brown. You want the white on this one, trust me. The brown will not make for nearly as pretty a drink. Alright. Now, if all of this has sounded pretty good so far, let me tell you one little thing, is that in some places in the country, including with my mom at one point, instead of cream, you can use vanilla ice cream to make this cocktail. Same thing with a grasshopper, same thing with a brandy Alexander. And my mom liked this drink so much, she was always trying to find new ways to make it. She actually loaded it up into one of those whipped cream canisters, and to see if that would shake it up and mix it. And it actually did come out as basically alcoholic whipped cream that was pink, so pink. She ate it with a spoon. All right, I'm gonna add a little bit of ice to this. All right, and Lydia says, the only ingredient I have is beer. I'm here for the vibes. Oh, Lydia, I'm so sorry. Maybe the next time we get together, we'll see if we can get some of this for you. Unfortunately, I can't fly with liquor, so I can't bring anything down. But anyway, so ice is in here. We're now going to shake the bejesus out of this. Any cream-based drink, anything that has that much whipping cream in it, you want to really, really shake because you want to get a lot of air in here. Otherwise, it will just be thick and kind of nasty. So I'm going to shake this probably longer than usual, basically until my hand can't take it anymore. or my arm gets tired, which it's doing now. All right, let's see how this does. You see this thing is just covered in frost now. And there it is, the pink squirrel. And that is pink. If you thought that the Cosmo is a stereotypically girly drink, I see and raise the pink squirrel. So I'm going to try and get this on camera, and let me see if I can even get a light on it so you can see how really, I mean, here, let's see if I can get this now. There we go. That is the pinkness. Actually, I'm going to turn this light off to see if it, there we go. Ogre Marco says, ooh, I have a future request. Guinness punch. I actually have a punch idea, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. Whipped pink squirrel should be served in a dish for dessert. Maybe. I actually don't remember it all that well. I'll have to try it at some point. She also says, this is really gorgeous. Lydia says, lol, cute, and Ogre says, it's so pretty. It really is. It is very pink. I would like to say it's Barbie pink, but it's really kind of Pepto-Bismol pink, but it is still pink, which my trans femme heart just adores. So, what does it taste like? Cheers. It tastes like a chocolate almond milkshake, but it's not. It actually has a surprising amount of complexity to it, and that's got to be from the creme de noyau, which, it's not just straight almond. And to be honest, creme de cacao, or however it's pronounced, I had a few drinks, isn't just straight chocolate. It doesn't, I've had liqueurs that I like. Theo Chocolate made a chocolate liqueur, and it was very good, and it tasted like dark chocolate, but it did not taste anything like creme de cacao. It's almost sweeter than that. Repentant Imp says, I want to simp this while wearing a poodle skirt. I'm fairly sure my mom has done that. Or had done that, sorry. Past tense. Cheers, Mom. Yeah, no, it is, this style of drink really hit its peak in the 70s, and not a lot of great cocktails came out of the 70s. The 70s ruined a lot of classic cocktails for a lot of people. If you ever want to see how bad some of the, look at a 1970s version of an old fashioned, it is not a good drink. There are a few drinks that made it out of there. There are a few drinks that were popularized in the 70s. Because, like I say, this is from the 1940s. And I think Brandy Alexandras go back further than that. They're actually I believe, a British Christmas tradition. A Brandy Alexander is basically this, except instead of the creme de noyau, you add brandy. A grasshopper is this, except instead of the creme de noyau, you add green creme de mint. You want to use a green so you get that nice frothy pastel green color to it. But for some reason they really hit their stride in the 1970s. And, as someone who was born in the 1970s, I feel safe in saying, a lot of stuff in the 70s didn't make it. This one did. This one was good. And it does have, it makes you think you're drinking a milkshake without it being that thick. It's actually nice and smooth, but it's got that creamy head on it that just makes everything so much smoother. It adds a little bit of thickness, actually, because, like I say, the liqueurs that have actually been watered down a little bit by the shaking, is actually, just like drinking any other drink. The creamy foam on top, creamy head on it, gives it that milkshake feel. It makes you feel like you're drinking a milkshake. Um, and it's you've got 2 shots of liqueur in here, so that's what are the alcohols on these? I want to say it's about 40, but they don't actually say. They've got to say somewhere on here. Maybe this one will say. Oh, there it is. 48 proof. So, that's 24% alcohol. That's not very much. This is 25% alcohol by volume. So, it's not that strong of a drink, but it's just a really good dessert drink. And you can just, for me, it brings back standing, looking out the window, watching the snowfall. You're plenty warm because you're standing with in a nice heated house. Or, by the way, best way to stand and look out the windows watching the snow is wearing a skirt standing over the heating register, which is a joy of transition. If there's gender euphoria out there, that's it. Um, anyway, but yeah, no, it just standing there, sipping one of these, it brings back so many memories for me. I hope it does. You will enjoy it nearly as much. Um, Ska, pleasure to see you. Glad you could make it. We're kind of finishing up a little bit here, but I actually did the pink squirrel there. You can see it on the recipe on screen. Um, it's a great drink. I really like it. I'm glad you let me share it with you. Um, and I hope you try it for yourselves. Or if not this, try a grasshopper. Green creme de menthe is a lot easier to find, and I think it's a different flavor, but it's also it's just as good. It's they're all good in their own way. I'm not as much of a fan of the Brandy Alexander, although it is also good. But this one just has memories for me, and it's just so darn femme. Not to say that masks or manly men can't enjoy this too. You should enjoy what you want, and if you're comfortable in who you are, let everyone else just go by. Ignore anyone who says that you shouldn't be drinking something like this, because gosh darn it, this is just a good drink, no matter how it looks. So, cheers. Hmm. All right. So, I think that's what I'm gonna end up with tonight. Winter Vesper says, "Have a happy December, everyone." And Lydia says, "Cheers." Repentant says, "It goes lovely with my top." I did not plan that, but you're right, it does, and I do match. Uh, and Ogre says, "I love me some milkshake drinks." Milkshake drinks can just be incredibly good. Like I say, I actually like this, these three or anything that goes in this vein, just because it's not, if you have alcoholic milkshakes, I mean, an actual alcoholic milkshake sometimes comes in these giant glasses, and by the time you're done with it, you don't feel so good, and that this is, in my opinion, just the right amount. Just one glass, and you can serve it in a martini glass if you want to be fancy. If you want to be really fancy, shave a little bit of or grate a little bit of chocolate over the top. Um, that will really catch people's eye. And the chocolate with over the pink or over the green, really nice. Um, let's see. Okay, so yes. Before I finish up here, we've got one more show in December. We have one show in December. Wait a minute. We have one more show before Christmas, and I know not everyone celebrates Christmas. I'm pretty sure not everyone in the chat tonight celebrates Christmas. Uh, it is the holiday we celebrate in our house, but I should have a show on the 14th and one on the 28th if I've done my math right. I am going to try and squeeze in a what I'm planning on doing is a charity stream where basically I'm just going to be here baking cookies all day and trying to get my affiliate status with Twitch. Um, Leading up to that, I will do 5 days of every night at, oh, let's say 6 p.m. I will come on and make a quick drink or make a quick snack, and it'll only be on for like 5 or 10 minutes. If you can catch it, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. I'll put them all up on YouTube. And this is all my cunning plan to get affiliate status with Twitch, because once I get that, then I can go back to doing normal shows. And why not, do all this when I should be stressing about Christmas plans? So yes, I am going to, like I say, I'm going to bake cookies all day. Any tips or donations I get during that time, I will pick a charity. It will probably be something. If you have a good suggestion, let me know. I'm thinking about Trans Lifeline right now because it's the holidays and that's a rough time for trans folks, for many trans folks out there. And I'm just going to, like I say, just hang out, bake cookies. I have not picked a date for that. I will do so, and I will put it on my Twitter page. If Twitter still exists, I will put it on Mastodon, and I will post it on all of the Discords. I will try and put out a quick video on YouTube just for YouTube folks to say, hey, this is when I'm doing that. And as with everything, I will be putting it up on YouTube when it's done. So, thank you all for showing up. I really appreciate you all. I can't say enough that I appreciate everyone being here. You are all fantastic, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful December. So, thank you all, and I will see you next time. All right, I think I'm done. That was a short one.
I'm sorry, what?
I said that was a short one. I think I was kind of rushing it.
It's okay. It was very well paced, I thought.
How are you doing?
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Can I have some of the pink squirrel?
Mm-hmm. Hey.
Not sweet enough for me.
Really?
Yep.
I bet you like those, actually. Oh well.
I mean, it might be because I just ate a bunch of cookies as well.
Well, there is that. Did you want the rest of this ginger beer?
Yes.
Okay, let me try and get the lid back off. Thank you.
Just ginger beer of victory.
Love you.
I love you too. You did great, baby.
Thank you.